Hi everybody, I'm Omilani Alarcón. I'm a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, and advocate for the community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you tell us your journey?
My journey, wow, my journey has been a long one, but a beautiful one. I started as an artist when I was a child, and actually, the first thing that I did was dance. I did traditional dance. And so, culture and embracing culture and the beauty of it has always been part of my life. So, no matter whether I'm singing or dancing or making film, you can believe that it's going to be grounded and rooted in culture and substance.
So let's rewind back a little bit, unpack
Alright.
everything, right? So when did you realize you want to start being an advocate for the community and also an artist? Like what age?
Well, I would say all my life because I was born into it, but I think even in children, like when we look at children, we see that they're inclined towards certain things.
Right.
So for me, I was the kid who, when my brother was graduating from preschool, my mom left me there with him, and I got on the table and I started singing, and all the little kids were cheering me on. I was just a baby, but they were cheering. So it's like you do things that you don't even know what you're doing, but it's like it kind of is a telltale sign of who you will become in the future.
Okay, awesome. Now, did you, as you were growing up, did you have to go to any vocal lessons for your vocal singing, things like that?
I should have, but no, I didn't. Like, I didn't know. Well, I started in hip hop.
Okay.
I started in hip hop
Oh.
and poetry.
Yeah, I speaking of hip hop and poetry, I was listening to some of your older albums,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very hip hopish. It's very also underground, which is one of the things that a lot of people gravitate on.
Mhm.
How did you? Were you? I think you were in New York, right?
Yeah, I was in New York.
Okay, so did you like grow up in New York?
I was born in New York, but no, like recently I've returned back to New York and I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to the roots, you know?
Right.
And no, I was definitely a tourist. Like,
Okay.
I didn't remember anything. So,
Okay. So
No.
did you grow up in the Philippines and did
No,
you, okay.
I grew up actually, in reality,
Okay.
I grew up all over the world.
Oh, okay.
But I spent a substantial part of my youth in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, cool. And then you transitioned to Florida? Is that where you're now? Or?
Not so directly. I lived in France, I lived in
Okay.
England, I lived in South America. So yeah, I lived a lot of places. I think that accounts for sometimes people hear it in my accent because I've lived a lot of places
Okay.
and spoken a lot of languages too. So yeah.
How was that for you as you were growing up?
I was inspired by my grandfather. My grandmother told me that my grandfather spoke 16 languages. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that too, you know? So his story, his journey always inspired me. And I always wanted to try to learn more.
Wonderful. Was there any, when you were growing up, was there any struggle for you, because you were going to different places and your identity as you were young, was that like a lot of struggle and pushback for you to be with you go into a different community and then,
Oh, you mean like living in different cultures
Right,
and things like that?
exactly.
Man, one might think that it would be, but in reality, I think that's why I love so many different kinds of people. That no, I really didn't have a hard time. Like, I really felt at home most places where I've lived. And I mean, I've been in a range of places. Like when I lived in France, I lived with a white aristocratic family, and I was just like another one of the children, and my host mother was telling me clean up my room, like
Yeah.
those kind of things. But if I'm being honest,
Right.
like no, I've had some very good experiences. I've had some weird experiences though, like one of the places where I was living, because like I said, I'm cultural, and I don't know if she wanted to connect or what, But one time I was living on the border of Spain, between Spain and France, and my host mother went upstairs and came back downstairs with a towel on her head, playing an African drum,
Right.
you know, and singing, telling me she speaks some Spanish, and she started singing this song, "Duerme, duerme, negrito," means "go to sleep, little black child." Like, I'm like, whoa, that's a little, you know,
Right.
it's a little weird, but yeah, I mean, I've had some weird experiences, not with people who I stayed with or not for a long time, but as humans, we encounter ignorance,
Of course.
all the time,
Yes.
you know, but not so overwhelming
Yeah.
that it, you know, left a stain on my heart.
Right. Right. Yeah. So the reason why I asked these questions because I know that you had like one of your videos, right? When you go to or one of your discussion, I think, on the web, when you go to your parents' family or from one side to the other.
About being Afro-Pinay?
Right, because sometimes you're not Filipino enough.
Yeah.
This is not the first that I interviewed a person because,
Yeah.
Which is actually good because our job here is trying to bridge that community together and stop the hate one of each other
Yeah.
and just embrace every humanity. How was that for you when you were growing up and?
No, that's real. Yeah. It wasn't like the other communities. It was my own that has been the hardest. Even now, it still gets hard sometimes, you know. For the longest, I did not. I mean, I had it there. Like, I never was in denial of being Filipina also, you know. But I didn't want to be involved in the community because I was always rejected, you know.
Right.
I was always, you know, being told I'm not Filipina, or, you know, like when I would say, you know, yeah, my dad is Filipino, or, you know, they would say, no, you're not, you know, no, it's not. Like, so, yeah, it was really hard and hurtful because in my home, the way, especially my grandmother who carried that legacy of, you know, I guess my father would be kind of like, not really first generation, but like half generation, because all of his siblings were born in the Philippines. By circumstance, he was the only one who was born in the States. But my grandfather, of course, you know, we know like this story of how the soldiers were given in World War II, you know, they were given citizenship, you know, in the United States. So like, because my grandfather was here, that's how my father was able to be born in the United States. Anyway, I digress. Like, you ever talk and then you're like, what the heck was I don't even know where I was going. Oh yeah. But I'm saying, like, my grandmother carried the stories of my grandfather, and it made me love being Filipina. Like, I loved everything about it. I loved our history. I loved Zamboanga, like, in my heart. Then I would go these places and be so proud to see, you know, when you grow up and you see this beautiful, you know, Asian face in your house, you can't help but love your people and be proud of it. And so I would go and then people would be like, who are you? You know, what do you mean? No, you don't belong. And so I would say, fine, I'm just black then. But then I would go in black communities and they would be like, who are you? You're not, you know, you're not black. You're like different. You know, I was always othered everywhere I went. So.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a community about that. That is actually, you know, me. I was born in the Philippines, and it's the mindset over there is that we, you know, you half and half. You're actually, they empower you more because you have that edge, or because since you're like a mestizo, if that's what they call it. And then when you guys are talking about it, they feel like to them you're complaining, but it's not, because it's the struggle that you guys have to go through. And in a community, we should understand that, and we should embrace that. That say, hey, you know, they're still our people. We still gotta, you know, embrace it, right? And love them regardless. So.
It's complicated. I mean, it's complicated because, like, even when we use terms like mestizo, I think the people who are mixed with white do not have the same experience that I have, you know.
right.
Like I've heard people say, oh, if you went to the Philippines, you'd be so famous. Not me, but I'm talking about a half white
Right.
Filipino.
Right.
No talent, no anything else,
Right.
just because of that whiteness that they carry in them too.
Right.
You know, so a lot of us who are, you know, Filipino and black, you know, Blasians, we just embrace, I mean, publicly, you know, have to embrace the blackness, because sometimes we feel like we don't have a choice, you know.
Right.
And we've been invisibilized, and in such a hurtful, hateful way.
Right.
And it hurt me so bad. It still is very sore, you know, like
Yeah.
it hurts me very bad. But I feel like if I don't push through, if I don't wave the flag of Afro Pinay and tell everybody I'm Afro Filipina, you're gonna learn this word, you're gonna know what it means to be Afro Pinay. If I don't keep doing that, what's gonna happen to these next generations?
Exactly.
Somebody else will hurt like me, and I don't want that, so I'll take it. People have turned their back on me while I performed. People have turned their nose up or make you feel so ugly,
Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I'm strong enough. I'm a warrior. Mindanao people like proud of that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about your. Thank you so much again for explaining that to the community, because I know that you have to go inside, really deep inside. Sometimes that can be hurtful. Tell me about your outfit. That's a wonderful outfit you have there.
Yeah. Well, what I love is that it represents both my African and Filipino roots. This is like a Filipiniana style, but they also wear it in Africa too.
Yeah.
And like these mirrors that I have represent inner reflection, you know?
Yeah.
Like I can see me through the mirror, but you can see you. Every time you look at me, you see yourself. So I have those there, you know?
Yeah.
And the face paint represents my people in Mindanao, you
Okay.
know, Yakan people. And the paint, the traditional paint represents the sun, moon, and stars. But I don't want to do exactly like, you know, for respect. So, you know, I just do it in my own way, but still pay reverence to where my roots are in Mindanao.
Absolutely. Tell us about the
double-headed axe, because I'm a warrior. Every warrior has their weapon, and you know, everything has two sides. You know, you have to look at both sides of the story. And then I also walk with my own duality, navigating the world as Black and Asian. And so yeah, my double-headed axe is my weapon.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's go back to you being a Filipina and also Afro-American, which is actually there's also an edge for that, right? There's
Yeah.
besides there's those things that you have roadblocks, but also there's non-roadblocks, because there's other people that are intelligent and not ignorant that embraces you and
Yeah.
and look at your talent, right?
Yeah.
And with both those, you have a very talented artistic way, right? So can you tell us about your project at the moment?
So I'm working on a project called Ore Yeye O, which is it's a good feeling. It's like an exclamation of like cheering, rejoicing, you know.
What kind of language is that?
That's from Yoruba language.
Okay.
Southwest Nigeria. I used to live there too. I studied the language many years, and the dance company I was in as a child was based in Yoruba culture. So I've been speaking this language since I was like 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you titled the
Ore
album.
Yeye O.
Okay.
Because it's also a tribute to everything that I am. See, I mix it all up, you know, and I talk in there about being, I talk in there about being Blasian too.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of how would that be even in a category in music from an artistic point?
That's a good question. I was thinking about that just this morning. I've been calling it neo soul world music.
Okay.
Some people don't like the term world music, but
Okay.
I think it best captures what I do, because I feel like it represents a worldwide sound. So
Yeah, I was listening to it. I was gravitated
Thank
to your even the past
Mhm.
albums that you made. They're very hip hop.
Yeah.
And then you also do poetry, right?
I do poetry too, yeah.
So speaking of poetry, you think you could give us a little poetry?
Oh, wow! On the spot, poetry. Okay, so you want poetry specifically?
Or something that you've done in the past, that you can remember. So.
Oh yeah. Let's see if I can remember it. But I also have a song called Magandang Morena, right?
We can start with that.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
And it's more like hip hop too, but it's really a poem. And so they have a whole movement, Magandang Morena, which was started by Aisha Jackson. And it was for people to embrace darker skin. But if you follow the hashtag, people don't even look like me. So I've been saying Magandang Itim, like,
right.
Let's big up, don't tell me don't go in the sun, or oh my gosh, you got so itim now. So like, yeah.
So for the people that doesn't know itim, it's black
Yeah.
from Filipino, right?
Yeah.
And then morena is black from Spanish, correct?
Well,
Or-
morena is more like dark skin.
Oh, dark skin. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So itim is like black, and sometimes it's used as a pejorative, like if you tell people, oh, you got so itim in the sun,
Right.
like you got dark. So I've been saying magandang itim, like,
Okay.
yeah, because it also, like, I have never seen an Aita person play the lead in like a film. I always see people paint their face black or wear these afro wigs and
Right.
things like that. So I hope that changes in the future. So when I say itim, I mean all of us who are like black skin with, like, that same texture of hair that
Yeah.
is often seen as ugly. So I said, itim means black in Tagalog. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. I just want to start some dialogue. See, why should I be treated in disdain like I'm a stain? I'm trying to refrain from this poison in my brain. You see, and so to me ain't gonna give you no hope. Entitled ones feel enlightened like papaya soap. I carry the blood of the Mansaka and the Mandaya. I am the Mindanao child returned, I walk through the fire. Morena and brown, beautifully teen. It's just an ordinary day in the life of this queen.
Wow, that's amazing right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that verse. So, how old is that poet or that song that you had?
Just 1 year old. I did that
Okay.
last year.
Wow. So where do you get your inspirations?
Life, just everything around me, anything that happens. And that one, so many microaggressions, so many little things happen to us all the time, and people, I'm serious. Like, I have navigated in the Latino community, like all over. And
you're like mixed.
Yeah.
You're Puerto Rican too, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
mix.
Yeah.
I mix all kinds of ways.
Okay.
Yeah, but nothing has been more hurtful than the things Filipinos have said to me. So I got fed up. So the song begins when I say, I remember when they told me I didn't belong, but that was way before I had this song, and so that's why I was singing Magandang Morena.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. So sometimes in that community, there's ignorant people. They get brainwashed with marketing and things like that. And then, but now it's unpacking. It's we have more people that are open-minded and they're realizing this is the future. This is where we're gonna be moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, do you do live performance as well?
I do live performance, yeah.
So tell us about your performances and when was the last performance that you had?
The last performance was 2 days ago.
Yeah, actually, we missed that. You were wearing yellow.
Yeah.
Joshua was telling us about it.
Yeah.
You were there, and we kind of missed it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So how was that performance?
It was great. What I really enjoyed, I feel like everything is proper timing, So growing up, I did have a lot of pushback from the Filipino community, but actually, I do animation too. So
Oh, you do?
yeah, so I did
You're
like
so multi-talented.
I did
How
this.
is anyone gonna compete with you?
You know what?
I never believe in folk hone on one trade.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that's true. Like, what is it? Just go into one niche or one focus.
Yeah.
I never believe that. I think you have to master as much as you can, right?
And then you have to be true to yourself. Like some people say, no, I can't do that, or no, I don't want to, you know, whatever. And I say, no, follow your heart and follow what, you know, where you're led. And when you're in the right space, when you're in the right place, you will know, like something in you will know that you are where you're supposed to be. So that's.
Are you also believe in energy? Are you one of those people?
Yeah. Am I coming off as incense and you know like?
No, because I'm actually I'm in that realm.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think we get it earnestly and naturally. I mean, that's why I used to be reluctant to share that, but I said, you know, you have to live in your full and complete truth. It's how I ended up on this journey in the first place. So what I was going to say is that I actually had a dream about it. Okay. You know, I was running away from my ancestors, and my first film, Latinegras, was because my mother always talked about Mayahuez, Puerto Rico, like it's home, you know. And so because I didn't belong here in the States, I mean, I didn't feel like this is home. I went there to see if I found home. Maybe I am, you know, maybe Puerto Rico is home. Maybe my true identity is Puerto Rican, and that's what I need to embrace. But when I went to find, I didn't find it, you know, and I felt bad. I was like, well, now what? Because I know Filipinos don't want me. So like, what do I do now? And so I had a dream, you know, and it was that I should go back and search for my roots. And I kept negating it, and it wouldn't go away. And then I remember going on this cruise, and this Filipino woman, every time for like, you know, they have like when you go to dinner, she would just wait for me. And I'd be like, what? It's weird, you know. Then she found out that, you know, my dad is Filipino, and she said, that dress you're wearing, is it from the Philippines? I said, no. What about your necklace? Like there was nothing I had that was Filipino. You know, except for myself, you know.
I can understand it. The reason why is because the thing about the Filipinos or Filipinas, they're always even though they have that part of them that, you know, some of them are ignorant, but there's that part of them that they open embrace no matter what culture you are.
It's true.
No matter what color you are, they're gonna open their doors and they're gonna feed you and they're gonna talk to you. So, which is,
and the same things would happen when I would travel around. I remember doing a show for the National Domestic Workers Organization, and I had a whole repertoire of Spanish songs, singing in Spanish. And then the Filipinos were like, okay, yeah, but you're also Filipina. Like, where are our songs? And at that time, I didn't have any songs that related to anything Filipino. And so after meeting that person on that cruise and then realizing that, well, dang, I mean, I guess she's true. Like I'm not embracing my culture, and it's not up to other people to decide.
Right.
I come from my ancestors, you know. I might not be Filipino. Like, what does that mean anyway? If you know your history, you know that in the original context, Filipino didn't include you and me anyway. You know,
right.
Filipino meant those people that related to King Felipe, you know, like they were the Spaniards, to distinguish between Spaniards born in Spain and Spaniards born in the island. And those Spaniards who were born in the island were called Filipinos. That's where this name comes. That's not even who we are.
Look at this, you're schooling me.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. There are over 125 ethnic groups in the Philippines, 7,000 islands. We also have over 125 different languages. So when you tell me I don't look like a Filipino, you are correct. I don't look like a Filipino. And I might not be Filipino, but I am an Alarcón. I am Sambuangueña, and very proud of that. You cannot take my roots away from me, you know. So it's not about what a person looks like. It's about that ancestry that we carry. And sometimes, so like in that rap that I just said to you, I said, I carry the blood of the Mansaka and the Mandaya. I am the Mindanao child returned, and I walk through the fire. I really feel like I carry my ancestors from Mindanao with me, because once I started embracing my culture, I feel like it transformed me completely. And when I reconnected with my family from the Philippines, it brought out my truest self. It changed everything about me for the better.
Great. What that's a very good explanation. What current, besides the project that you told us, what else do you have, or what's the future for you that you see?
A lot. What I've been doing now is combining like all of the talents that I have for my performances. So I'm a filmmaker, so I like to
You're
make
a filmmaker.
yeah. So I like to when I go do shows to have some visual in the background that relates to the performing. I've been happy to get back into dance, so I've been combining like more artistic things and singing and doing all of it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And besides you performing 2 days ago, you also do performance somewhere else, right?
At the Adrian Arch Center.
Where is that exactly?
That's in downtown Miami, and it's one of the foremost performing arts centers, I would say, in the country. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did a piece called Cambule,
Okay.
and I wrote the piece. I wrote the.
Can you go into that and explain to us?
Yeah, for sure. I did like poetic narrations and Cambule. Well, okay, so I started my singing career in Trinidad and Tobago. I lived 3 years in Trinidad and Tobago, and I was living with one of their top singers there. And I remember like she would be in the kitchen and she would sing this high note, and then she would look at me and say, "Okay, you sing it too." And so I would be like, "What?" I'm already starstruck, like watching her sing, and then she would tell me to sing it, and she was the first person who told me not only that I could sing, but that I should sing more. Like instead of just doing hip hop, she felt like I was hiding my voice.
Okay.
And so Cambule is like paying homage to my journey, to become what I am now. And Cambule means burning cane in French. And what it represented is that the enslaved people in Trinidad and Tobago, they would set the fires on the plantations on fire in rebellion because music was restricted. Anything that related to people's traditions and culture, they were restricted and repressed. But out of that repression, new artistic forms were born. So for me,
is that because of the government, or why is it they're repressing that?
Well, it was, remember the time, it was like enslavement. So it not just government, but just like that system of oppression that was there to keep one group of people considered inferior and the other one considered superior. Yeah. So for me, I've been through different types of suppression in my life, but even through the fire, even through all that suppression, I was able to create things that I might not have done if I wasn't so suppressed, and I was able to move beyond. Yeah, so that's why I wrote that piece, Cambule.
But as along your journey, you meet these wonderful people, human beings, and it kind of empowers you. And it propels you to the next level. Right?
Yeah,
so
and I never forget.
What was her name?
Ella Andal.
Ella Andal?
Yeah.
She's very famous at that.
In Trinidad and Tobago, and I guess other places in the world too, for certain. But her music is like traditional and things like that, but always a positive message. Living in Trinidad, period, I felt like I encountered some of the best performers in the world. The way Trinidadians can tell a story, sing a song that tells an entire story, and the punchlines, how a song can have double meaning, and how a song can you can say something so hilarious and poignant at the same time. Like that's why I love their music and their artistry there.
Very, very creative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you gonna sing for us?
You want me to sing?
Absolutely. Yeah. We want every aspect of it. Not just poetry, not just rap, like also.
Okay, what kind of song do you want me to sing?
Whatever you have in your mind that you feel. or the latest one?
The latest one. Let's see. I have one. Wow. Okay, you put me on the spot, but all right. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, monjaile. Yeah, monjaile. Yeah, monjaile. Oh, mi lodo. Oh, mi lodo. Some say I'm sassy, but they don't understand. I'm cool like the waves, the waves that slide across the sand. Feel my waters tickle your feet and soothe you inside. Don't be shy, come on and let me rock you all night. Yeah, yeah, monjaile. Yeah, monjaile. Yeah, monjaile. Oh, mi lodo.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. How old is that song?
It's not even released yet.
Not yet.
On the 25th, it will be out. But
wow, we're so lucky over here.
that's the latest song, and I want people to know that yes, I sing my own stuff, I write my own stuff, and what you hear on the album, if you hear me live, I will sound just like what you hear on the album.
The speaking of your album, did you have a special team behind it?
No.
Because of the engineering, the production, is it?
No, you see that restraint, it makes you do whatever you like. I don't believe in limitation, so I do a lot of stuff myself, or sometimes when I get help from musicians or something like that, I'm heavily involved in the composition. So I'll give the melody, or I will say I want this instrument. I'm very, very specific about how the sound that I want to come out.
Yeah, even the final touches.
Yes.
The sound of it. It doesn't. It sounds like you have a special engineer that went in there and cleaned it up or anything like that. So.
Oh man, I guess it's a very big honor for you to say it like that.
Well, the reason is because I talk to a lot of engineers in the industry.
Yeah.
They're musicians, things like that. So when I was hearing it, they taught me how to. I'm not an expert, but they taught me how to.
Listen to hear it. Yeah,
exactly. So but yeah, coming from it, I was like, I wonder who's her team, who's her back, who's doing all these things, and it's just you that does everything. So
yeah, for the most part, I mean, I did get it professionally mixed and mastered, but yeah, it's just one of those things where like I don't have like big budgets, I don't have funding like some artists have, so like I have to figure it out. But like when you are passionate about what you do, you don't let no be in it, no, there's no such thing as the word no. Like you have to figure it out. So I had these songs inside of me that I had to get out by any means necessary. So yeah, I sit at my computer and I figure it out.
Yeah, that's being creative.
Yeah.
How long you been in Florida? You been here for the longest?
I have been here, that's kind of since the early 2000s, but I left and came back and left, came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
so how is the artist here in South Florida? What do you feel?
I've noticed the change, and I don't know if it is because I've put in the work and been here for a while, but when I first came here, especially coming from North Carolina and coming from New York, the consciousness is different there. People have had a different attitude towards arts. So when I first came here, it was very difficult, one, in terms of the content, like the things that I say in my music, and then secondly, finding an artistic community that embraces you and all that weirdness, that you might have as an artist. But as of late, I feel very involved in the artistic scene, and I've been getting the kind of shows I've always dreamed of, So I'm very happy in my artistic career here and the kind of exposure that I've been getting.
Wonderful. With that being said, what do you see? So in the community, you're meeting a lot of Asian and Filipino
Yes.
in South Florida.
Yeah.
Is there like a big following or a community, or what do you see?
Well, I definitely have to send love to South Florida Filipinos, because that network has been important too. Lutong Pinoy Filipino cuisine, like that restaurant, Lutong Pinoy, and the family, the Mendozas, they have been so essential, not just for me, but for many Filipinos who are here. They all gravitate towards their restaurant as more like a cultural center.
Right.
The big location they have in Pembroke Pines, it has the sari sari store. They have like a big jeepney in the background.
Karaoke.
Yeah, karaoke. Yeah.
You're not leaving there. If you're Filipino, you gotta stay there.
Yeah.
You gotta
I brought my aunties there and they loved it.
How did you know Darren? Was Darren first, or the Soul Flow that you met?
Darren. I think that the Soul Flow is fairly new now. Yeah. So no, it was
actually there's SoCal in California.
Oh, okay.
So that's why when I came by to Soul Flow, I'm like, are you guys SoCal? They were like, no, this is that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but we need that here, because for the longest time I was like, where are the Filipinos? Like I wasn't seeing anybody anywhere, but
majority in the past they used to just meet up in the basketball. They used to have a tournament.
I heard about this.
Ray Lazaro. Yeah, the Basta Pinoy used to cover that in the past. So, but now that hasn't, because of the pandemic. They had to stop it. But now,
I hope they bring it back, because I want to ball too.
Yeah,
I'm short, but
Yeah, they had a women's tournament as well.
Yeah.
And it was a fun event over there.
Yeah.
So you went to Darren's.
Oh yeah. So the reason why I went is because I don't know. I felt like, okay, I have to embrace this side of me. Like I have to get to know my roots.
Were you passing by, or you just saw? Because I know there's two restaurants there.
Yeah,
right? Manila Grill, and then there's also.
I've never been there.
Yeah, I think they're about 15 minutes away from.
Yeah. I haven't been to that one, but what happened was, I wanted to get some Filipino food, and then every time I went over there, it was like, they got in the back TFC, so you're watching some Provinciano, in the back.
Yeah.
And then, I just would go there all the time, because I was also on a search to find my father's family, because there was a mystery there. Like, I didn't know what happened, and my father felt like he was abandoned. So I was searching for my Filipino roots. So going there was like a way of connecting. I didn't think I was going to find them, and they really have been like a second family too. Like my birthday, they did a big kamayan, like the Budo fight.
Yeah.
They did a big spread for that, and made sure that
for your birthday at the
Lutong Pinoy, and just always made sure that I wasn't alone, like that. Right. I had somebody there. So I appreciated that. And when I did the screening of my film, a part of the story about finding my long lost family, Lutong Pinoy sponsored. So I have a lot of love for them.
Yeah. Very cool. They a lot of people supported them even through the pandemic, so that's amazing.
He does a lot, in the community to help people. Like I sit in there sometimes, and people bringing mangoes, people bringing balingbing, like just all kinds of different things, and sharing.
They actually have one of the best bubble tea.
Yeah, the bubble tea is good.
It's fire. I have a Cambodian friend, and he's like, we go to different restaurants, like Asian restaurant, and he telling me like this is the best taro bobo tea hands down in South Florida.
That's how I feel about the food too. I traveled some other places, like I went back to North Carolina. I'm ordering the pancetta. I'm ordering like and then I'm like, this is not. It's not the same.
Pancetta, it's amazing. Pancetta,
over there, they make it great.
Pancetta, and also Shanghai, the lumpia.
Oh, that lumpia is good. You're making me hungry. Like
you can go to any community and bring that. It's like that's the thing about the Filipinos, right?
Yeah,
it's all about food.
Oh, it is about food, and I guess
and it's potent.
and part of the love language is people say, "Did you eat yet?"
Yes,
like if somebody's or like that's like an apology too, like but all your favorite foods, like a ton of food.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that just dawned on me.
Nobody says sorry directly, but it's like I made you some palabok or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're more Filipino than I am. Wow,
staying over there at Lutong Pinoy, I learned that, and then also like staying with my family too. Like they're deep in the culture.
Too?
No, it's interesting. Once I found them, that was it. I was attached. Like people always, before going out there, I was watching YouTube, and then I was seeing all these like reconnection.
When did you go over there to the Philippines?
No, not the Philippines.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, half of them are over there, and then half of them are here. Because going back to that same thing about the citizenship,
right.
What people might not know is that it divided some families, because it wasn't just all your children can come.
Yes.
Yeah, they had 13 children, so only the ones who were under a certain age were able to come, and the rest had to stay in the Philippines. So my father now has 4 siblings or maybe more who are still in the Philippines. But it was 2021, I think, that I went over to California, because all my family's in Cali. That's where they all settled. And the first time I went for 7 days, and I was like, oh man, they only have flights certain days. I want to stay 10 days. Is that okay? And they were like, yeah, sure, it's great. Went there, and when it was time to leave, I didn't want to go. I came back to Miami, but I felt like something was missing. So I asked, could I go back? And they were like, yes, come and stay 30 days. 30 days turned into an entire year. So I lived in California. I just got back, actually.
Oh, okay.
A month ago. Yeah,
there's a lot of Filipinos there.
Yeah,
that's where the first one settled, right?
Yeah.
Was it
actually
was that
the first place Filipinos? There have been Filipinos in this country since the 1500s.
Right.
Where was it? Louisiana, and then
I'm sorry. Yeah, Louisiana were they first, right?
First. Yeah, and then there was a huge through the Filipino artists. What is it? Filipino Arts Directory. Yeah, through them, the person who started that, she's doing this whole study about communities of Aitas in St. Louis.
Oh.
There was, because they came for that World Fair, but sadly, they didn't even last a year. Sickness, and I guess the change in temperature and things like that.
Yeah.
They were never given proper burials, so she's trying to like recover that and bring light to that about the whole history of Filipinos there. They had a little Filipino right there in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's good to have that understanding. But I think a lot of people in the community do know that, and especially people in California and things like that. But I'm the only one probably don't know.
Oh, we all learn bit by bit. No shame on you. We all learn. Yeah, but California was beautiful because I saw so many people who look like me.
Yep.
Like it's a lot of Afro-Pinoys, and I don't think they have the same experience we had here on the East Coast, And
one of our journalists, she's actually half Filipino and half black.
Oh yeah? Oh, my cousin, my sister.
So it's she'll reach out to you, talk to you.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, she's very artistic too. So.
Yeah.
So when you how long have you? I know you said that you've been doing this since you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
When you took it serious, the artistic, I know you said kid, but there's got to be a pinnacle where you said, look, I'm going to take this really, really serious, this creativity.
It happened so young. I didn't even know that it was taking it seriously. Like, I started, like I said, through dance.
Did you get anybody besides from Trinidad was pushing you to the lady from Trinidad was pushing you and say, hey, you need to do an album or you need to put out something?
Yeah, it happened all throughout. Like, so I started in the dance company about 4 years old. By the time I was 7, I wrote this piece. My dad didn't believe I wrote it, so I had to explain it to him.
Do you think you can still remember that piece?
Oh man, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Oh man, you didn't learn a thing. It's not only here, it's all over the place. People hating other people because the color of their face. It was like about, I don't know, Black history. Yeah. Oh wow, it's been a long time since I've said it, but I just remember I have a big family too, so it was 11 kids. So I remember them gathering all the kids and then all the adults in the living room and said, okay, perform the song in front of us. And so I was so nervous, and it's like everybody's looking at you, but he said, if you can do that here in front of us, you can do that in front of anyone. So I guess he liked it so much, he told somebody. And the next week, I was in the middle of the mall performing for the radio station. And so that, they liked what I did, and that led to an entire career in hip-hop music. So I was a hip-hop artist growing up. I went on tour. I was in Lollapalooza. I won a slam.
Wow.
In Lollapalooza. Yeah, I was at New Eurekan back in the days. Like, I was in the Source magazine.
You're in the Source magazine?
I was in the Source magazine. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
As undiscovered talent, and I had my own TV show. It was called Kid Vids, and we would interview people, artists, about their music. You know, that was out. The first guest was Mary J. Blige, but we were kids, so we were like, I don't know who this is. Like, so they were like, do you want an autograph? And we were like, no, because we had no idea. But now I'm like, I could why didn't I get that autograph or a selfie or something?
Right.
So.
Wow. So that's why you're so comfortable when you get an interview and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's been but what happened is, growing up as an artist, I also developed like a complex. Like, it was like, I was well known. I was all over the TV. I mean, I was on Primetime Live. I was on like big shows, and I was getting like paid big too. And like, I really had an established career. But when it was affecting me, like, I would go to school, like high school, and people would mistreat me and say, oh, the teachers treat you different because you're famous. Or I would do an interview and people would say, I don't know if I'm talking to Omilani the artist or the person. And I'm like, no, but I don't change to be on the stage. Like, everything is really
authentic.
Me. Yeah, so it hurt my feelings. And then at that point, I said, I don't want to be an artist anymore. I just want to be an everyday person and know, will people like me for being me? Am I getting privilege in the classroom because I'm known? You know, so I went to where I could be anonymous. That's something that I asked for, thinking that, you know, you can take a break and then you can just jump back in and be famous again. Right. You know?
It's a hard reset.
Yeah, like, I didn't know though, because I'm taking for granted all this that was built, you know.
But it doesn't help that you have those people around you that tells you that. So
I mean, in retrospect, I'm thankful for it because
it builds you how you are now.
Yeah.
It's a journey, right?
But it was difficult coming back in because I was still talking like the 13-year-old kid, you know, like, hi everybody, we're back into this today. And then I'm like, oh, but I'm not 13. So like, I had to become a different artist, things that I could say as a kid and get away with it. My art had to change, you know, like I said, growing up, how people looked at identity was very different. So for me growing up, being a part of the Black community was like, well, except okay, like, okay, yeah, you know, people would still pick on me or whatever and say, oh, you half breed, you know, you like, they would say all kinds of stuff to me, but it wasn't a big deal. But I remember coming to Miami with my conscious poetry, some of the ones that you probably heard online, which is interesting because sometimes I get embarrassed and I'm like, oh, this stuff is not polished. Like, I don't want to like leave it online.
Oh, no, it's I would listen to it. Like,
yeah,
you know,
thank you.
I'll keep listening to it over and over.
Yeah, so like I guess I'm gonna leave it online because some people do like that. But I came to
that's the thing about the internet. It's amazing because you never know who's gonna be listening.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't know who's gonna affect it, right? Who you're gonna catch too.
Yeah.
Even though right now there's other people out there that becoming an artist and like, oh, I don't get enough views and this and that. No, there's actually you just need one person.
Yeah.
And then you don't know if they have a big network. And
that's true. You never know.
You know, so
that's what happened to Shaggy. You know that it wasn't me.
Yeah, actually, one of our artists that we interviewed here, his name is Tag. He told me about the whole story about it. Yeah, go ahead and listen.
No. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you don't know who or where it could be. You know, somebody could listen and be like, play that back, play that again. Yeah.
And he actually had better song back then.
You know, that happens too. That's what I'm saying. That thing about struggle when you don't have like
when nobody's there.
Right. I don't have a team, so like I gotta go hard. Like I gotta like really stay on top of things. But if I had writers and like people to arrange everything for me and all I had to do was show up, you know, like I might not have the drive that I have to do all the things that I do.
As artists, I guess they all have to take it one day at a time. Or anybody, you're trying to be successful, right? Just take one step at a time, but one day at a time.
You do. But yeah, when I came back here, and then I was like doing my conscious pieces and people were getting offended. Or people were looking at me like, what? So it's a thing where...
Can you elaborate on the conscious pieces so people that...
I had a dream, it was a nightmare. I saw Uncle Sam in his underwear. He was walking through the hood sporting a 3-colored hat. Telling my brothers and sisters lies, that's a wannabe fact. What he said shocked me, give your life for me. Remember, it was a white man who set you free. He was talking to a sister and said, don't call me mister. Sam will do. I give a blonde hair, blue-eyed baby to you. It's consciousness, but it looks at race directly in the face. And in a way that could be offensive to some, but I know what I'm saying in what I'm saying. Like I was raised consciously. But in recent times, and I don't know if this is good or bad, I have had to acknowledge that I'm also, I feel like icky saying this in an interview, but I have to acknowledge I'm not fully black. So there are some things that I could say that embrace blackness that if people perceive that I don't receive the same perception or whatever as other people, maybe they could get offended, or maybe they could feel like, who are you to say this thing in this way?
Yeah, there's a lot of eggshells. You feel like, not a lot of eggshells. It feels like you're walking on eggshells when you start a topic. But you're just being you.
Just being me.
Right, and there's a lot of people like you in the community like you that has the same feeling.
Yeah. So it's tough, but I have learned to be myself and be authentic and true to that, but in a way that because I thought about it too, in considering identifying as Filipina as well, that our lived experiences are going to be different also because of how I look. You know, when we say like stop Asian hate and the things that are going on and how I fear for my aunties, you know, or my uncle. I say my aunties because I'm so close to my aunties, you know, my uncles too, but you know.
I think the community as you that community, that's actually gonna help that Asian hate because you're mixed, right? Even the people that I talk to that are mixed, that I think that would help to 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 stop, well, not stop, but just to,
bring awareness
right.
and bring communities together, because
But we also gotta look at the news doesn't really go pack into these things, like,
no,
as in, what's wrong with this person? This person's been in jail for so many times.
yeah, they could just
why are
be,
they walking out there? Why?
yeah,
Why? Like, so then, is it really Asian hate, or there's just something wrong with them? That's we gotta acknowledge.
And that's something
that
to
too,
think
right?
about. But I do know that it was scary. I was in California, when the thing happened with the salon, the nail salon was shut up.
Yep. Yep.
And there were people in Los Angeles and things like that just punching or doing weird things to, Asian women in particular. And like I said, my family looks like those people. I
Yep.
did fear for them going certain places by themselves. Of course, I'm hurt for that. But it becomes hard too, because especially as a cultural person and a person who is supposed to be conscious, it's like
there's gonna be fear.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I totally understand. That we have to be mindful. It's not just that one, this individual. There could be also hate that's gearing towards that what they're driving into. So it's not good. So.
Yeah, it's that, and I don't know, like, it's hard. Like, I think we do have to, regardless though, be our true authentic self all the time. But then I think it's also important to navigate and have some sensitivity about other people too, consciousness about that too. And we all can grow. We all can learn about each other, because that's something that I want people to know. I can make a commentary about injustices that go on in the world, but that doesn't mean that I hate anybody.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I automatically think the worst about anybody. I got too many different types of people within me, so to hate half of them is like hating part of myself. So like,
and it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. So no, I don't walk around like that. Like, I love all people for real.
Awesome. Yeah, so where the community, if they want to, listen to your music, want to get a hold of you, where can they reach out to you?
Well, my Instagrams are at Omilani, and I've been sort of anonymous on my Afro Filipina page, but I'm also at Afro Filipina.
Can you spell it so that the listeners and the viewers?
It's at Omilani, or at AfroFilipina. And I also have Omilani.com. And yeah, I'm always around.
Wonderful. Well, we really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
And doing this interview, and what you're doing to the community is wonderful.
Thank you.
And I support you 100%. I love it. So we look forward to having a discussion again with you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Magandang itim!